हा, नेटवर्क मध्ये आहे ना. आमचा वेबिनार असतो, म्हणजे काय जनरल नॉलेजचा असतो का. आमचा टॉपिक काय टॉपिक वाईज असतो. भरपूर लोक असतो. ओव्हरऑल वेलनेस. सुमित मल्होत्रा. प्रॉपर आहे. हॅलो. हॅलो. नाही. हॅलो. नाही.
जो माईक बंद कर.
आता आता लेट येतोय, बोला बरं. हॅलो. हॅलो. तुझा माईक बंद कर ना.
आला व्हॉइस.
आता लेट येतोय.
हॅलो हॅलो. ऑडिबल.
सगळ्यांचं तसं झालं. आमचं ते काय रात्री स्वप्न पडलं होतं छोटी ताई आणि ती रात्री 11:30 जेवायला त्याचा लागलं काय म्हटलं चावी घेऊन जा इतक्या उशिरा चाललाय. लग्नाच्या वाढदिवसाला आला तर बरं आहे. लूज झाला की
Good morning and warm welcome to you all. I am Vaibhav, your host for today. Our topic for today is overall wellness. It shall be taken by Mr. Sumit Malhotra. He shall cover how to maintain good health in 2024, what is overall wellness, and Indian health scenario in 2024, followed by question and answer session. Our agenda for today is virtual inauguration by Dr. Sundar Kataria, invoking the blessing of Gayatri, chanting of Gayatri Mantra, introduction of speaker, presentation by Mr. Sumit Malhotra, question and answer session, and last closing session. About Sadgun Sangh. Sadgun Sangh led by Dr. Sundar Kataria, driven with the mission to elevate the quality, safety, and environmental awareness levels of industry. Sadgun Sangh is a series of educative, informative events aiming to illuminate professionals on possible solutions to current issues of industry and economy. Let's know more about Dr. Sundar Kataria. Designation and organization. Chairman and Managing Director, International Certification Services Private Limited. His academic qualification are Doctorate in Business Management, followed by Mechanical Engineer. His experience are Rajasthan Atomic Power Project, India's first nuclear power plant, RAPP at Rawatbata, Kota, built by Indian engineers. Worked as nuclear scientist for 11 years and successfully completed and commissioned the plant. Engineers India Limited, first batch of engineers to develop Bombay High offshore oil and gas fields, mega offshore complex platform, trunk and submarine pipelines, underwater inspection and indigenization oil and gas equipment, etc. Det Norsec Versatile, world largest classification society, worked for 17 years at various capacity for the certification of fixed offshore installations, submarine pipelines, onshore projects and personnel qualification, underwater inspection divers. ICS, he is founder of India's first certification conformance assessment body established in the year 1999, provider of total quality solution. Certification of management system, ISO, inspection, testing, and training qualification of personnel. His achievements and awards are received Lifetime Achievement Award for the contribution for the corrosion technologies from NES International by NIGIS under NES USA, social worker, protection of life, asset, environmental and safety. So now I request Dr. Kataria to please virtually inaugurate the session.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
Please join us for the recitation of the Gayatri Mantra. Introduction of our today's keynote speaker, Mr. Sumit Malhotra. His designation and organization, Senior Nutritionist, academic qualification are MBA, Healthcare Management, Herod-Watt University, Edinburgh, Nutrition and Metabolic Syndrome, Harvard Medical School. His area of specialization and experience are 23 years of nutrition counseling in Mumbai, employee wellness, weight controller, and diabetes reversal menu audit. Please welcome Sumit sir. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, and good morning to all of you who are here today. Special thanks to Mr. Sharma for this opportunity, and special thanks to all of you, amazing people, for being here today. So let me start by telling you why we chose the name, this particular name of overall wellness. As we age and as we proceed into the next years, 2024 and beyond, health is something that is going to become more and more and more precious, as it always was. But it is going to become more and more and more precious because of the world we live in today. So I hope, and I would like to give you some value. I would like to offer some insights which we may be ignoring. Many of us may be well aware of a lot of insights which I will give today, but many of us probably ignore them because of our lifestyles. There is a very famous quote. Someone said once that we spent most of our productive years ignoring our health and going after wealth. And once we reach a point where we have enough wealth, we have to give it all away to get back our health. So my goal today would be to question and to deliver. Can we maintain our health while we are also pursuing a career? That's going to be today my most important agenda. So let's get started. I'll share my screen with all of you. I believe my screen will now be visible to all. And let me give a
Yes, sir.
small introduction. Yeah, my screen is visible, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, lovely. So let me give a small introduction about myself. I have been in this industry of health and wellness for the last 23 years. In my studies, in my interactions with the world's leading doctors, nutritionists, scientists, I have come across a lot of we have made an umbrella of factors, of certain factors which are going to influence your health. Many times it's not doing one thing, but many times it's doing few things correctly, which leads to good health. We'll talk about all that. So we partner with a lot of organizations, reputed organizations, to train their employees, to train their leadership on how to maintain their health, because it is directly linked to a person's productivity. Directly. Okay, so let's go into it. So today we're going to talk about 11 different topics. I've made an index for you. So first we're going to understand the real meaning of wellness. We're going to talk about what is India's health scenario. We're going to talk about why it is like this. We're going to talk about human nutrition. PhDs, people who've done their doctorate in medicine, different branches. Such specialized, highly qualified people also are trained on nutrition for hardly 4 hours in their entire curriculum. So we're going to understand the basics of human nutrition, because you need to eat food 3 times a day. And because you need to eat 3 times a day, you need to know what your body needs and what your body is getting, correct? We're going to talk about how to manage stress, how to alleviate stress, how to deal with it. We're going to talk about the magic of breath work. We're going to talk about hydration, dehydration. We're going to talk about obesity. We're going to talk about posture, some rituals which could help you in your daily life. And I have a small gift for all of you at the end. So let's get started. So according to you, what is wellness? Many people would say a fit body is wellness. Many people would say a muscular body is wellness. Many people would say a 6-pack is wellness. But that, have you seen such very, very seemingly healthy people go and have smoke? Have you seen such seemingly healthy people working out very well, but not taking care of what they eat? That also can happen. However, there are many people who are fit like this and eat well also, but they're always under stress. Are they healthy? Is that wellness? So if that is not wellness, I would say this is 10% of wellness. The balance 90% is this. Wellness, if a person is physically well, but spiritually unwell, That is not wellness. It was a beautiful recitation of Gayatri Mantra. All of us heard, and it's wonderful. You know, if a person is physically and spiritually well but is always under stress, would you call him healthy? If a person is physically fit, if a person is eating well but he lives in a wrong environment, is that healthy? So what we've been able to figure out is that wellness is physical, is social. You need to have a social life. They say man is a social animal, correct? So if a person is not having a good social life, in fact, in one of the studies done in the blue zones, which all of you must have heard of, blue zones are those areas where a majority of the significant population lives a longer life, a healthier life. The biggest factor was not only how healthy they were, but how socially healthy they were. So if you are listening, also check your physical health, also check your social health. Intellectually wellness, it's very, very important to be able to learn new things. They say age is all up to how much you learn, how many new things you can learn. Emotional wellness, if a person goes through stages of ups and downs emotionally, of not being able to take care of one's inner world, which I always talk about, is your inner world will affect your outer world. How you feel within will is a reflection. Your outer world is a reflection of that. Occupational wellness. Are you able to find fulfillment from what you're doing? Environmental wellness, which none of us have. I live in Mumbai. I don't know where all of you live, but I'm sure many of you live in big cities, big metros. We can definitely say that there is not much environmental wellness where we live. Financially, being well financially is equally important. So all these aspects are what we call overall wellness, which we will dive into it today. Let me go to the next topic. What is India's health scenario today? Today, 73% people living in urban areas are overweight. 73%. Out of 10, a little over 7 people would be overweight. Now, overweight does not mean just having visible fat. Overweight will also mean having more of visceral fat. There are two kinds of fat, many kinds of fat, but let me just classify it into two. Visible fat is the subcutaneous fat that's below the skin, which makes a person look overweight. Have you seen sumo wrestlers in Japan? Okay, extremely overweight, but they too, I would not say they are healthy, but their weight is not on their organs. It's below their skin, which is why it is not life-threatening to many. It will depend on a lot of other factors, but I'm giving you a general perspective. My point is, today, if you're living in an urban city, out of 10, 7 people are overweight or having extra fat. An average Indian needs to lose 11 kilos. An average Indian. What I mean by that is when you take the entire amount of kilos that compounds when you take the population, that's 11 kilos more per person. Okay, let's move on to the next. Even in kids today, we are finding obesity. Have all of you heard of the latest Bonvita fiasco? Okay, let me not name brands. Certain so-called health drinks, which seemingly a lot of us thought would be an ideal morning supplement for our children. Millions of mothers went to supermarkets like Sehkari Bhandar earlier in the days, today Star Bazaar and D-Mart and whatnot, right? They went to such stores and looked at certain health drinks, picked it up, and gave their kids the hope that my child is getting some good nutrition, which later, okay, we always knew about this, but there was not much mass awareness, which has come in now. 45% of that glass of a health drink was sugar made by a confectionery company. not a pharma company. It was a confectionery company. No naming, right? Let's be very, very politically correct. But so a child is exposed to sugar at a very early age, which then develops into a lifetime addiction, which results in overall long-term profitability for that organization. So these things are happening today, and there are many other factors which I will name. The third risk everyone has is diabetes. India is the world's diabetic capital. Unfortunately, I love my country, but I cannot deny this, that India is the diabetic capital of the world. In Mumbai, there was a recent survey conducted from a population subset of about 5,000 people. 45% again were found to be diabetic or pre-diabetic. So all of us must take care of certain things. Another factor which contributes to this India's health scenario, declining health scenario, is MSDs, musculoskeletal disorders. Employees who are working in jobs today, employees who are having regular 9 to 5 jobs, 36% of them complained of lower backache, 62% upper backache, neck and shoulders, which is connected to posture, eyes 37%, wrist 31%, and lower leg 15%, which are all the effects of sitting. If you see them carefully, these are all the side effects of sitting for longer time. So we studied two things today. We studied first what is wellness, then we looked at what is India's health scenario, and why it's important for you and me, ladies and gentlemen, is because we are a part of that entire population. And with this awareness, probably you could make some changes which could help you not come in those numbers which we're talking about. Now let me come to the main point, and that is the causes. Why is this happening? Let's talk about it. Okay. So most common mistakes are ignorance about fitness and ignorance about nutrition. What you eat has a direct consequence in your body. What you eat has a direct consequence on your blood sugar. What you eat has a direct consequence on the way you feel hungry in the next meal. What you eat in this meal will decide what you would crave for tonight. So all these things are important. Let's say you're really hungry. You're very hungry. And you are offered these two things. What would you choose? If your chat is open, you could please write it in the chat. Let's make it interactive because I can't see any of you. Yeah. I will have to mute. Someone will have to mute this.
Pwede ka palang hindi maglibay.
Yes, someone will have to mute this person. Okay, great. Right. So if you're really, really hungry, what would you have? And there's a question. I don't know what you would have, but yeah, I can see some chats. Okay. Now, if you remember, around 30 years ago, there was a very famous cartoon coming on TV, Popeye. You remember that? Some of you remember that when you were kids, perhaps? And he got his energy, he got his strength from having spinach. And today, another cartoon has come in a few years ago who gets his energy from another food source. Do you see the shift that has happened? Yeah, okay. So earlier, fruits and vegetables were multicolored, and today, medicines are multicolored. And why is this happening, ladies and gentlemen? Let me tell you the cause. Number one is how you live. I have this saying, when you're at home, you're sitting. You're going to work, you're sitting. When you're working, you're sitting. When you're coming back, you're sitting. And when you're going to sleep, probably you're sitting for some time and then going to sleep. That's how we live today. How many of you send your children to school by a school bus or your own vehicle? Can I see a show of hands or something? How many of you send your kids to school through some kind of public transport or private transport? Anybody? Or you could type it in the chat. And how many of you when you went to school or when your parents went to school, you went by cycle? You see the shift? Today, our lives have become different. You swipe 3 times, in 20 minutes, there is food at your door. Technology. Wherever you go, there is food. This is the change. Today, 63% of India's soils are not having enough minerals for the crops, for the fruits, vegetables, crops to have sufficient nutrition for the human body. 52% of soils are already degraded. This is the world we are living in. At some places, our soils do not have micronutrients. The fruits and vegetables you eat are supposed to give your body some nutrition, but it will only happen when it's in the soil. And if it's not in the soil, it cannot come in your food. Which is why, ladies and gentlemen, if you go for a blood test today, I can estimate 60% of you will have a deficiency of B12 and vitamin D. 60%, at least 60%. Today, earlier, we had a lot of open spaces. Today, the open spaces have reduced and there are humans living there. So earlier, for an amount of population, there was enough open land, agricultural land to produce food. Today, in those places, there are towers where there are people. So you need more food because there are more people, but you have less agricultural land, which is why today there is multiple cropping. We cannot do without it. And today, there is a lot of use of fertilizers, pesticides, a lot of medicines. Please note one thing, ladies and gentlemen. Every single farmer in India has to use pesticides, has to use chemicals. I would rather say he doesn't have to, but he does use chemicals, fertilizers, because the ultimate goal is profitability. If you know farm owners, they will tell you that they have 2 crops, one for the house and one for sale. I know a lot of landowners, farmers in the belt of Maharashtra and Gujarat, where I have a lot of my practice. A lot of farm owners today, now is a time for a particular type of mango called Kesar mango. The harvest time is right here in Gujarat. And most landowners will tell you that we give 90% of our farm on a contract to another, another party, and we keep 10% for a house. And both of them are grown differently. This is the life we live today, right? Plus, on top of that, the food that you eat, the fruits and vegetables you eat, were probably picked 2 days ago, then come to your APMC, then to your local vendor, then to your fridge, and then to your plate. I don't want to talk about coloring. You all know that. I don't want to talk about how safe your milk is. I don't want to talk about all these things because you know, right? I'm telling you the reasons. In 1953, one bowl of spinach used to give iron, good amount of nutritional content. Today, you need to eat 43 bowls to get that same nutritional value from one bowl. And what happens to your weight if you eat 43 bowls, correct? And on top of that, our cooking today, isn't that true? Okay. Today, who has the time to cook? पहले खाना बनता था आराम से, धीमी आंच पे, है ना? धीमी आंच पे खाना बनता था. Today, a woman who cooks in the house, the lady of the house, or whoever is cooking in your house, everyone is pressed for time. Everyone, they cook with love. They cook with care, no doubt. But there is today a paucity of time, and which is why we have technologies like pressure cooking and microwave cooking and quick cooking, So this is happening today. And if some of you do eat non-vegetarian food, well, let me not get into that, because nothing against non-veg, but we all know that they are sold by weight. The more the weight, the more the profit, the more the economics involved. Please remember, almost everything is controlled by one word: economics today, every single thing. So earlier, हम परिश्रम करते थे, right? Earlier, we used to work hard. There was labor. And then for that labor, we used to eat a huge thali. Today, we work smart. And because we have changed from hard to smart, our work has changed from hard to smart, but our food has not changed from hard to smart. Agree with me? That is the change that has happened. Okay. And on top of that, the environment today, these are the causes. Ladies and gentlemen, a few moments ago, I outlined to you what's happening in India. What is happening in India is an epidemic. And I'm now telling you the reasons why this is happening. And on top of that, how we live today, sitting and sleeping. I have a small video for you, ladies and gentlemen. Let me show this to you.
Which item in this picture do you think negatively affects people's health more than anything else? Alcohol? Cigarettes? The donut? Hamburger? Sure, they're all pretty bad for you, but most people know that and at least try to limit their intake somewhat to these items, even a little bit. But it's the things we don't think about that can really cause damage. Things we use every day so regularly we don't even think about how its constant use could actually be killing us. The real culprit is the chair. We were given legs for a reason. Most third world cultures don't even have chairs, and they walk in 10 miles most of our entire waking day sitting down. People go right from bed to sitting on the toilet, after which they sit at the breakfast table, then they sit in the car as they drive to work and spend the entire day sitting at a desk, only getting up to sit in the toilet and in the cafeteria. Then they sit in the car to drive and sit at the local bar for happy hour. Then when they've had enough of that, they go drive home and spend the rest of the day sitting in a comfortable chair watching TV before they crawl to bed to recover from all the physical exertion that day. And when people go out, they sit at a restaurant or a movie theater. Sitting all day is far worse for you than you might think. A 2010 American Cancer Society study following over 123,000 people from 1993 to 2016 found these alarming results. People who were inactive and sat for over 6 hours a day were 94% more likely to die during the time period studied than those who were physically active and sat less than 3 hours a day. That's almost 100%. And get this, findings were independent of physical activity levels. The negative effects of sitting were just as strong in people who exercised regularly. 60%, that's over half of employees surveyed, were convinced they would be more productive if they had the option to work on their feet. Medical experts have started referring to long periods of physical inactivity and its negative consequences as sitting disease. Below this video are links to an endless list of medical studies showing physical inactivity and low fitness are serious threats to cardiovascular health. Even with a low body fat index, sitting has been linked to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Studies showing differences in brachial and femoral artery responses to prolonged sitting. Studies showing reducing sedentary time may protect DNA. Sedentary lifestyle has been linked to depression. How sitting less increases muscle mass. Multiple studies linking diabetes to inactivity and sitting. Cells in idle muscles don't respond well to insulin, so the pancreas produces more and more, leading to diabetes. And how 5 minutes of standing every half hour can improve glucose metabolism and really help postmenopausal women who are pre-diabetic. Blood pressure drops when standing compared.
Okay, so a small reminder for you to keep walking for every hour of sitting. Okay, so all these things, what I spoke about, has led to something. So this is how we jokingly say शादी की पहली सालगिरह और शादी की 25वीं सालगिरह. So for this not to happen, okay, we need to do some changes which we'll talk about. So what has it led to? Number one, tiredness. 70% of doctor visits are due to diet related conditions. This is so severe. Okay, that's what's happened. So now let me go and talk about a little bit. Now we've discussed the problems, we discussed why it's happening. Now let's talk about what your body needs, how to take care of it. How does the body work? Our body, just like this phone, is made up of a system within it, a huge and a very, very intelligent system, very intelligent. The body knows, for example, if there is an infection, the body raises temperature, right? A lot of us call it fever. So intelligent that if you live in colder places, and if a part of your hand, for example, is out in the cold, no, maybe if you're at a place where it's snowing, it's very cold, and you're not wearing gloves, so a few moments later your hands will become hot, warm. That's because the body sends fresh blood straight away, because it feels that there is a need. It's getting cold, let's send some warm blood. Body is so intelligent. Our body is made up of trillions of cells, we know that. These cells in turn make tissues, which then form our organs, which then forms our human body. That's how the cellular nutrition works in the body. Now our cells need energy, which comes from the food we eat. So just like if you have a vehicle and you give it petrol, in the same way your human body needs fuel. Let's say if you're going to a petrol pump, a fuel station, and you say, oh, petrol is 110 rupees a liter, example, I don't know what it is, but example 110. Let me not put petrol, let me put sambar. Will it work? Will the vehicle work? It won't work. And in the same way, the human body needs 114 nutrients. Now, if you say 114 nutrients, yes. We all know that what we eat is divided into basic things like, for example, proteins, vitamins, carbohydrates, minerals, correct? Now, protein is made up of different amino acids. There are multiple types of minerals. You must have heard of a lot of them: magnesium, potassium, chromium, etc., iron, etc. A lot of vitamins, vitamin A, B, C, D, E, goes up to K. Then vitamins have certain sub branches like vitamin B as B1, B2, B3, B12, all these things. So our body needs a complex of a lot of things every single day. And that is a difference between food and nutrition. Food is what we eat, but nutrition is what we need. And today the world is getting more and more and more aware about nutrition and its importance. So to tell you something, today you're going to eat a thali for lunch. I presume some of you may be eating a thali for lunch. What is an ideal thali? Which is what I want to give you today. I want to give you some value so that next time you eat, you can look at the thali and check whether this is balanced or not. So if you're writing, then maybe you could write this down. 40% of your thali should be made up of carbohydrates. What are carbohydrates? Grains, your vegetables. Okay, 40%. 30% of your thali should be protein. And the rest 30% of your thali should be fats, healthy fats. That's how you know whether this is a balanced thali or not. So let's talk about some solutions. The first solution I want to talk about today is something a lot of people face today: stress. Okay, it is a saying commonly in the scientific community. Stress today, even kids have it, because kids have to go to school. They have an exam coming up. They have to study and they have to deliver something. Expectations from their parents and teachers. So stress starts at a very early age. How do you manage stress? Okay, first you need to know that stress affects every part of your body. Many of you must have heard that stress, when a body undergoes stress, there are two kinds of stress I will talk about now. One is a physical stress. Let's say there is a lot of physical exertion. That physical stress is different from a similar stress is also felt by the organs. which we call inflammation. Now, when your body is facing stress, it releases a hormone called cortisol. Now, the problem with cortisol is it stops the body's normal functioning. It slows the body's normal functioning. You can imagine when earlier times, our human body as we know it today is an evolved body. It has evolved from something. It has evolved from something lesser to something more. Hundreds and thousands of years ago, there were humans. Now, these humans were not having access to food like you and me have. We used to hunt for food. We used to earn our food. To eat food, a human had to go and hunt an animal or a fish, or he used to go and look for fruits and vegetables which were palatable at that time. So food had to be earned. Today, food is bought. There's a big change in that. And so earlier times, I want to talk to you about stress because a lot of you go through it. Okay, so earlier times, imagine a human is hunting an animal, or he's going in the forest to get some fruits and vegetables for his family or his community or his tribe or for himself. And then there was a big risk of him getting eaten himself by another animal. So whenever the threat used to be there, the threat that I would be eaten as a human, immediately the body would create a chemical change in itself. It would divert the energy to another area, that is to for high awareness and for running, so that a person can save himself. And at that time, the body slows down the digestion, because the energy which was earlier diverted for digestion will now be diverted to handling this threat perception. So even today, whenever you are in stress and then you eat, your body will not be able to digest that food correctly because the cortisol levels will be high. That's how severe it is. And imagine undigested food in the body. Imagine your brain, your heart, your muscles, your immunity, all of these going through that cortisol related situation. Now you see how it affects. So what happens to us when something goes our way? Great. When it doesn't go our way, we are stressed, isn't it? So how do you learn? How do you manage it? Okay. I would give you a few small insights. Okay. Number one, you could take it as a situation where it's something to learn, rather than taking it in a situation like he or she did that to me. Most of us get stressed at the smallest things today. If you notice yourself, someone didn't say hi to you or hello to you or good morning to you. You are going to a zone that, what did I do that he's not, or she's not saying good morning? Maybe wo bhul gaye. Okay, so everything that happens for you or to you. If everything that happens in your life, let me explain this. It's a beautiful saying. I learned it from a very very senior personal development trainer called Tony Robbins. He says, everything that happens in life happens for you, not to you. Now there's a big difference. This happened to me, that happened to me. We can say that, or we can say that happened for me to teach me something. So whenever you look at life differently, the perspective changes, everything starts changing. Now, 11, 12 points on how to manage stress very quickly. Okay. Number one, accept. Change what you can change and accept what you can't change. You may not be able to change the behavior of XYZ person. And because you can't change it, so you have to accept it because there's no option. Next, do you have time for yourself? I know the life of an average Mumbaikar. No time for one's own self. No time for a workout, no time for a hobby, no time for music, no time for cooking, no time for reading, because of the way our lives are today. Okay, so give yourself time. How do you manage that? Listen, the biggest task ahead of us is how to live a good life, isn't it? The biggest task ahead of us is how to live a fulfilling life, not how to just increase a salary. Number 3, change your state, change your emotional state. Whenever, ladies and gentlemen, you will go through certain times during your life or your day where you're going through a not a very good feeling, right? Does that happen to you? You're feeling low emotionally, you're not feeling that good, you're feeling a little bit depressed. I'm sure all of us go through this at some point in our lives. Maybe many of us go through a state like this every day. May not be severe, maybe very, very minor, but it is. Now, did you know that if you just stood up from your chair and took a 2-minute walk, just a 2-minute walk, that change in your physiology would create a change in your consciousness, which would change your emotional state. I'm going to the extent of telling you that people who have taken extreme decisions, people who have taken the last step in a depressed state, if they would just get up and change their physiology, because there is a saying in scientific community, motion changes emotion. So whenever you're not feeling good, whenever you're in a zone where you would you're in stress, remember these 3 words: motion changes emotion. Just get up, change your physical state, just stretch. Something as simple as just stretching, something as simple as just listening to a song and walking for 2 minutes would change it would be a radical change in your physiology and would change your state of emotions at that moment. Number 4, eat good nutrition in your diet. Make sure that your body is getting 114 nutrients every single day. Number 5, how do you feel about yourself? Are you proud? What are you proud of? Are you proud that you have some beautiful children, a good family, good parents, a good spouse? Do you feel proud of your home, what you've built, your relationships, your finances? Something you should feel proud of every day. The next point, I'm going to come to that, and that is breathing. We'll come to that a little later. Okay. The next point, do you get silence every day? Do you get a few moments of silence every day? Or are you always in a state of rush, rush, rush? All of us need our own silence. Try to be silent for 10 minutes where you're not talking to anyone, where you're not listening to anyone, you're just silence. Many people would say, sir, fir to bore ho jayenge. Boredom is good sometimes. Okay. A good way of silence could be meditating. I have seen people meditating even in flights, in trains. It doesn't depend on it. You don't need a physical space to meditate. Wherever you are, you can meditate. Learn. Be grateful. The biggest reason to be grateful is that you're seeing this today and you're here today. A lot of people your age couldn't make it this far, but you have. But we're not grateful. Do you get up every single morning and thank the Almighty for giving you this day? A lot of people didn't see this day. Should we be grateful or should we take it for granted? You have 2 options. You can take it for granted and ignore, or you could accept that you have a privilege today to see this day. That's how you should live. I'm no one to tell you how you should live. I'm telling you what could help you. You like something from here, take it. Whatever you don't like, leave it. It's a menu. Okay, very important. So try, look within. Spirituality is going within. Go within you. Say hello to the inner you. Okay, these are some ways. Maybe you like 1 or 2. Hope it helps. Okay. Another thing we all go through is frustrations every single day. We get frustrated when things don't go our way. Frustration is a choice. You can choose to get frustrated. How do you avoid getting frustrated? Just be patient, because people are not like you. They are like them. Right? People are not like you. They are like them. Maybe they're going through some situation. Sometimes we meet a colleague and they don't wish us properly. But maybe they had a bad day. Maybe there's something going on in their life, something in their family. You know, why don't we think like that? Very important. So remember, friends, do not share your frustrations with people because it only expands. Whatever you share expands. It is said that don't share your problems with people, but share it with someone who could help you rather than generalizing it. You must share it with someone, all of us. If you remember our earlier education system in India, earlier education system was not how it is today. It was very different. A mother and father used to go to a gurukul and hand over the child to a guru. And it was a guru's responsibility to impart wisdom and education, knowledge to that child, which has changed today. Yeah, it's a different world we live in, but there you go. Okay, the next point, ladies and gentlemen, is breath work. We ignore this, but this has a radical impact on how you feel, and I'll show you how. So first of all, if I tell all of you, I would like all of you, ladies and gentlemen, to take a moment and to take a deep breath. Before you do, hold on. Before you do, take your hand and put it on your stomach. आपका हाथ ले लीजिए, take your hand and put it on your stomach, on your tummy. Take your right hand, put it on your tummy. Did it? किया आपने? Now, take a deep breath in. Come on. Release. Now I have a question for you. When you took a deep breath in, did your stomach come out or did it go inside? So let me take a minute. Let me go into the chat. For how many of you, your stomach came inside? And how many of you, your stomach came out, went out? So if you can just type in the chat, then I'll be able to see. Okay. So a lot of you say out. Okay. Please let me know in the chat. Your stomach came in or went out. So if your stomach went in, which for a lot of people it happens. If your stomach went in, that is an incorrect way of breathing. If your stomach went out, it is the correct way of breathing. Whenever you are taking deep breaths, always imagine a balloon. When you blow air into a balloon, it expands. And that's what should happen in your lungs. When you take fresh air inside your lungs will expand. And if your lungs expand, your stomach will come out slightly and then go back in, which, ladies and gentlemen, you will be surprised to know that a lot of people do wrong. Something as simple as breathing. Okay. So moving forward on your breath, let me again share my screen with you. Moving forward. So whenever you breathe, do that. Now, in India, you will hear a lot of people saying this statement. गिनती की सांसें होती हैं. Has anyone heard this? गिनती की सांसें होती हैं. The average lifespan of a rabbit is much lesser than the average lifespan of a tortoise. I'm comparing two different animals. And the reason, ladies and gentlemen, I'm doing this is because if you ever notice the breathing pattern of a rabbit, a hare, they breathe very rapidly. And when you look at the breathing pattern of a tortoise, the tortoise will breathe very slowly and deeply. Ladies and gentlemen, the point I'm trying to make is most of us are breathing very fast and we need to slow our breaths. always notice whenever you're under stress, your heart rate goes up. I wear a sort of a fitness watch because I like to know my data. I like to know my readings. I like to know how well I slept. In fact, tomorrow I'm doing a lecture on sleep, 11 a.m. I like to, because I know that my sleep has a direct impact on my blood glucose. I know that my sleep has a direct impact on how every organ is going to function. And I want to give myself not longer hours, but more higher quality sleep. Body goes through 4 sleep cycles. I will not cover all that, okay, because that's the topic for another time. And how your body goes through those cycles is how you actually how long and how well you live. But coming back to breathing, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot overemphasize the fact that we all need to improve our breathing. So every single hour, this is what I want you to do, ladies and gentlemen. Every single hour of the day, today you have the best technology, right? You have phones with timers. Just put in a timer to remind you every hour of taking some deep breaths. So here's what I want you to do. If you can do it with me, it'll be great. When try the 847 way of breathing. What is 847? When you breathe in, breathe for 8 counts. Okay? Then you hold. Okay, then you hold. Do not look at the numbers here. Now, when you breathe in, not all of you will be able to breathe in for 8 counts. It takes some practice. Maybe some of you will stop at 4 or 5. Do what you can do. So ideally, when you inhale, you should do at least for 4 counts. Let's say each count is 1 second. Okay, at least for 4, and then see, can you go to 7? So if you breathe in, let's start 1, 2, 3. Then hold, release. The idea is breathe in from the nose, hold, and then release from the mouth. Simple. And so let's do it once again. When we breathe in, let's try for 5 counts. Let's hold for 5 counts. And let's exhale for 7 counts. Let's do a 5-5-7 to start with. Okay, so right hand on the tummy. Not every time, just to make sure you're starting correctly. Okay, right hand on the tummy. And let's take the deep breath in for 5, hold for 5, and release for 7. Let's go. Whenever you do this, you are changing your body's biochemistry. Every single, something so simple. But can I tell you something, ladies and gentlemen? 90% of us don't do this. Isn't it true? So my suggestion to all, every hour, remind yourself to do a 5-5-7 or an 8-4-7, whatever combination you can do, but do it. Okay? And if you're wearing a fitness tracker, and if you can check your heart rate, I can challenge you that when you do this twice, just 2 deep breaths, your heart rate will have lowered. It's a challenge. You try this experiment. Okay, good. Let's go next. Now, let me talk a little bit about hydration. Very, very important. Do you know, ladies and gentlemen, that 70% of our human body is water? 73% of our brain is water, 80% of our lungs, and 64% of our skin is water. And today's environment, which is, very, very hot, when we lose our, when we sweat, when we urinate, we not only lose water, but we lose electrolytes. What are electrolytes? Electrolytes are minerals carrying a charge. And these electrolytes are very important for normal body functioning. Hot weather removes water. Humid weather, sweat, urine. Do you know tea, coffee also? Tea, coffee dehydrates you. Medicines dehydrate you. Stress dehydrates you. And whenever there is dehydration, the body loses water, but along with the water loses sodium, loses potassium, loses these electrolytes, magnesium. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, you need to know that 1% dehydration can have a bad impact on your body. 1%. Okay. So what happens when we are dehydrated? Please remember, all biochemical reactions depend on certain salts, certain minerals, which are called electrolytes. Very commonly sodium, potassium. These electrolytes improve our endurance, performance, avoid muscle injuries. Did you know most injuries in sports are because of dehydration? Most blood pressure situations today are because of dehydration. Most irregular heartbeats, tachycardia, is because of dehydration. It is so important. Most tiredness is because of dehydration. So how do you manage this? When you remember, water is not enough. I'm not saying don't have plain water. Have. But also make sure that once or twice during the day, you are having water with electrolytes. Okay, that's important. Now, I cannot just I'm avoiding to name brands on purpose. In fact, I haven't even named my own brand on purpose to just keep it educative and informative and not trying to come across to give you something. That is not my intention. My intention is to bring general awareness. And now let's go on to obesity, which is a big problem today. You would agree it's a big problem. Okay, so obesity, listen, it will kill you faster. This is a very blunt fact. It will kill through some of its manifestations. Could be diabetes, it could be a cardiac condition, or could be any other organ failure. Okay, how do you manage? Now, I don't want to go into what happens when you're overweight. I think all of you know the bad implications of that. Let me give you 10 points. Number one, 3 healthy meals per day. What do I mean by healthy meal? A healthy meal is any meal which has 40, 30, 30. What is 40, 30, 30? I told you. 40 carbs, 30 protein, 30 fat. Okay, by now you should know this. Number 3, ensure fiber. Look at nature. Isn't mango sweet? The fruit mango, isn't it sweet? Very sweet. But it will not have a major impact on a diabetic person. Why? Because it has fiber. Now, fiber is something that does not allow sugar to get absorbed as much. Now, I don't mean you can have a lot of mangoes. Of course, moderation is the key, but mango by itself will not have a negative impact on the blood sugar of a normal human being. A diabetic human being, yes, but a normal human being, it will not have an impact because it has fiber. What does this tell you? It tells you that when your food has fiber, it will not have an impact on your sugar levels, not as much. Okay, so there is something called low GI, high GI. What is GI? GI is glycemic index. Certain foods, when eaten, have a impact on your sugar level. It spikes. And certain foods, when eaten, do not spike the sugar level. So which is a better food? Low GI food. What is, to know low GI, you should know what is high GI. High GI foods are all the whites, white rice, white bread, sugar, maida, all these are high GI. What is low GI? All the browns. Okay. Now, even rice, for example, a very staple food. Why is rice told to be avoided? Rice without fiber, ladies and gentlemen, is called white rice. Rice with fiber is called unpolished brown rice. Do not fall for the names. Do you know many companies which sell brown bread? You will be shocked. Many companies which sell brown bread, it is actually white bread and added brown color. Can you imagine? And that is why there is a difference between brown bread and wheat bread. Do you notice the difference? So even when you say brown rice, it could be many simple, it could be just someone adding a brown color to the white unpolished rice. But the always eat a rice with fiber. Okay. If you notice, upvas wala food is more millet based. That should give you a big answer. Okay. 1 to 2 fruits per day. And guys, number 6 is very difficult for regular employees. No outside food. बोले सुमित आप ऐसा बोल रहे हो, no outside food, but हम तो outside रहते हैं दिन भर. So listen, you need to find your way. You need to find your way. If there is a will, you are smart. Okay. 2 healthy teas per day. What do I mean by healthy tea? Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot emphasize the fact more that when you add milk solids to a plant, that plant becomes toxic. Let me repeat this for you. When you add milk solids to a plant, like tea leaves are a plant. Did you know that? The tea that you have in your house is black because it is dehydrated. It has changed its state, and when you add milk to it, it will not give you any goodness, it will harm you. A lot of you will feel acidic after a tea. Please remember, do yourself a favor, do not start your day with milk unless you're physically extremely active, like some pehelwan, that much physical activity. For a normal person like you and me who lives in urban cities, do not make the mistake of starting your tea with any milk solids. Okay, so 2 healthy tea per day. Tea leaves in a certain temperature water will benefit you, but the same tea leaves dehydrated milk with solids will actually cause a lot of free radicals to start accumulating in your body. What are free radicals? These are cells which damage your body. They damage the healthy cells and they create a cluster of unhealthy cells. 30-minute workout per day, not alone, but with a coach. A 30-minute workout per day. You all know this. I don't need to tell you. You must be very well aware of that 8th point, right? Sleep and rest. Just as important is your food, equally important is to sleep. Very, very important. Okay. And number 10 is healthy thinking patterns. When you have unhealthy thinking patterns, all of this will not make sense. You will not be able to do all of that. So have healthy thinking patterns. The next point, which all the employees should remember, is your posture. Ladies and gentlemen, you can take a picture of this if you wish. If you're having pain in your lower back, the reason is lumbar support is not good enough. Upper back, neck and shoulder is because your neck, the situation, the way it's looking, it's bent forward. The back of the chair may not be supporting you enough, and which is a big problem in all employees today. Wrist, because when you type, okay, the height of the chair and height of your keyboard should be at a certain angle. Today we are noticing a lot of employees, a lot of people having deficiencies of lutein. Lutein is one of the minerals which supports your eyes. The blue light coming from the screen which you're watching right now, that's the problem. Okay. Lower leg. So there are exercises for all of this. That's what we teach people on a normal day-to-day basis. Now, I want to tell you about something very important as we are, I think, coming to not an end, but the last few minutes, I think I have today with all of you. A lot of how you live a lot of how long you live is how you live your day. So how do you start the mornings? Because your first hour is crucial. It will many times determine how the rest of your day is going to be. Imagine getting up in a very groggy state. That state will continue for a lot of your time. So what we have noticed is many people don't have rituals, they have routines. Routine में ये उठ के ये करना है, ये करना है, ये करना है, ये करना है. Rituals नहीं है भाई, routine है. Habits हैं, rituals नहीं है. Rituals is very, very different. So here's some points to remember. If you wake up early, you will have time to do other things. We spoke about being grateful. When you wake up in the morning, try to appreciate something so that, your body is, your brain is having a positive start. Try to appreciate something, someone. Drink water. Don't get up and get busy. No, no, no. When you get up, stay in silence for a few moments. You can go into just closing your eyes and doing a small review of what you want your day to look like. It could be spiritual sadhana. It could be a small workout or some stretching in the bed. Don't just get up. Okay. When you and something what I've noticed today is people who live in cities are away from nature. Many times, you know, when we take a holiday, go to some far off location, be in nature, we feel rejuvenated. But if you just go every day for 10 minutes to a nearby garden, you would feel rejuvenated also, right? Make sure you're walking barefoot for at least 10 minutes a day to give your feet that grounding, to give your feet the grounding. Very, very important. Okay. It is said to make your own bed when you wake up in the morning. It shifts your pattern. Try it out. Most of us don't make our own beds. Someone makes it for us. Try making your own bed tomorrow. It will have a radical change in your thought patterns. Just try it. Don't take my word for it. Try it. When you wake up in the morning, see an ideal day in your mind. In your mind's eye, see an ideal day. Think what kind of a person you want to be today. Do you want to be kind? Take a decision. Today, I'm going to be kind. Today, I'm going to be happy. Today, I'm going to be generous. Take a decision and do that. Listen, ultimately, what do you want? To live a good life. That's how you do it. I cannot tell all of you to write. I would love to tell you, but I don't know how many of you will find the time to do that. But if you write, it is said that if you write your problems, you start finding solutions in those words. It's very, very true. Okay. Do not get up in the morning and look what other people are doing on social media. Please do not do that to yourself. I see a lot of people wake up and they wake up with reels. They wake up with YouTube shorts to see what's happening in other people's life. Do not do that. Okay. Instead, try some time without your phone. You know that. Okay. Because all of this, ladies and gentlemen, has a direct link with how productive you are in the world, how productive you are in the family, how productive you are at your work, and how productive you are in your community. All of these things make a difference. This is what I opened my presentation with was, there is no one good thing, but there are multiple good things which lead to good health. Living well, ladies and gentlemen, is not a one-liner. You know what's a one-liner? And this is how you live a good life. And this is how you are healthy. Do this. You can't do that. You got to be good at a multitude of things. That's how the bodies decide. So for all of you, I think I have delivered a lot of points which we normally give people when we do a normal 1-hour session on overall wellness. It was definitely my pleasure to talk to all of you. Before I close, I would like to give you a small gift. I would really suggest all of you to join some health community wherever you can. Okay, I would recommend all of you to work out for 30 minutes a day. I would recommend all of you to work out or to have a have a small circle or have a coach who could guide you. And I would definitely like to tell you this quote from Thomas Edison. The doctor of the future will no longer treat the human frame with drugs, but rather help him to prevent with the right food and nutrition. For all of you, a small gift for all of you. Okay, I would extend this opportunity for any of you who are looking for some guidance on how to improve your health, your weight, your medical state, or just to live better. We would love to give you a trial for 3 days on our upcoming wellness boot camp. If any of you are interested, this is a 3-day trial pass. We normally charge 600 for that, but since we are having the session, there are no fees for this. This is a small gift for all of you. You could contact Mr. Singh on this number. with your name and your organization, so that we know where this pass was talked about. The number is mentioned on your screen. So I think that is it from my side. It was a pleasure talking to all of you today, and I would like to hand it over back to the host. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the presentation and explaining topic in simplifying way. So now I request all the participants and delegates, if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask directly to the sir, or you can put your questions in the chat box as well.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Sir, as per your presentation, thali should be 40% carbohydrate, 30% protein, and 30% fats. If we check our traditional means thali, generally they are using dal chawal and some ghee on it. Is this sufficient? Is this cover all things?
Ghee would cover the fat portion, rice would cover the carbohydrate portion, and the dal would cover, one moment, the dal would cover the protein portion. In many ways, this is a very good meal, but what's missing here is the fiber content. So if you can just add a salad before you eat it, before, not after or during, then this would make it a complete meal. It's a very good way. Any other questions, please?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I believe we've done with the questions. Back to the host.
Yeah, sir, we were waiting for a few minutes. If anyone have any other questions. So I repeat again, if anyone have any questions, you can ask directly to the sir, or you can put in the chat box. So I think there is no more questions, sir. So can we move ahead, sir?
Yes, please. Thank you.
So our next session is on 18th May on the topic International Organization for Standardization. Know your ISO standards. It shall be taken by Dr. Reina Khatri Tandon. She shall cover introduction on what is ISO, ISO structure and governance, ISO region and membership, followed by question and answer session. ICS is pleased to provide you all its research and development, integrated management system, QMS, EMS, and OHSS, excellence in education management, ISO made easy in Gujarati, Marathi, Telugu, and Hindi. For reading any of the above book, please contact me, Sushma Kindalkar, on the given contact details. Feedback form, please register on www.sadgunsang.org and go in your login and give your valued feedback to us. So thank you, Sumit sir. Thank you all the participants and delegates for joining today's session. So now it's time to officially close the session. Thank you everyone. Have a nice day.